Hi.
guys.
How you doing?
How are you?
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope.
Hey.
What is going on right
I'm
now?
not getting an answer on call.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Paul Pelosi attack footage being released by police out there in San Francisco, California. Now, there are two videos we're going to focus on. The first one is going to be of David DePappy breaking into the back of the home with a hammer. Remember, that was a whole big thing. Why is there glass on the outside? Why does that hole look so crazy? There was a lot of questions about that particular thing. Now we have footage of him breaking into the home. We'll talk about that in a moment. And also we have footage of David DePappy attacking Paul Pelosi after the police got there. And I think that's my biggest gripe, my biggest concern is with how information about the attack got out to the public, because there was a lot of discrepancies, miscommunications, contradictions. First, it was the police opened the door. Then it was Paul Pelosi opened the door and then went back to the attacker. Then the attacker attacked him. There was all kind of things that were said that didn't make any sense. And I think these videos kind of tie it together, but we still have more questions. Now, first, before I get into the actual attack video, let's look at the break-in video. And of course, all these clips will be in the description box below. Or if you're on IG, go to the link in the bio and go to the corresponding article on my website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We also have our first look at the video on the attack of Paul Pelosi, husband of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Look at this. Now, remember I told you that there were going to be things other than the police body cam that would be released. This is the surveillance video outside the home. And that is the suspect, DePapp. And you see him, he put some items down. You see him breaking some glass and the fragments of glass that are breaking now. Emily, talk to me about this as evidence in the case.
Well, so keep in mind that this suspect is facing federal charges and state at the same time, right? In December, he was indicted, penalty 20 years.
So that's the footage right there. So we did break into their house. Now, some are going to say, well, that's probably not realistic footage. I mean, that's the footage that they put out there. It looks real to me. And it kind of explains a lot. I think the way the glass was, it might have been some kind of glass. Like, you guys know more about the kind of glass that was than I do. So let me know in the comments. But the glass, the way it's designed, was going to spray outward rather than inward, especially with the way he was sitting with the hammer. So that's that footage right there. Now, here is the actual attack footage. And again, this will be in the box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary.
Yeah,
So you got,
definitely don't want all of here.
so what you have right now, obviously, is body camera of the police coming up to the front of the house.
I don't want all of here. Hello.
So they're just outside waiting,
Yeah.
knocking on the door. They're not actually, obviously, they're not barging into the home. They knocked on the door.
2620, right? No, 2640. Oh, 40. Yeah, it literally said in that.
So, again, I got to pause right here because remember, this moment was reported differently depending upon when you heard the information. They said at one point it might have been a third party, like somebody else that came to the door rather than DePappy or Paul Pelosi. Then I think they said Paul Pelosi by himself came to the door. Obviously, they're both right here. Now, let me rewind a little bit to see. So the police did not open the door. It looks like David DePappy opens the door. It has to be because, okay, as you're going to see in a moment, Paul Pelosi is wrestling with DePappy over the hammer. Like they're both clutching the hammer, but there's something in Paul Pelosi's other hand that will prevent him from opening the door.
Hi. How you doing?
Or there could be somebody back here that's opening the door because, you know what? That's something that could be the third party that I'm not seeing because, like, look, take a look at this. Look at the way the door is opening, and you don't see David DePappy's hands or Paul Pelosi's hands on the door.
Hi.
But yet it's still continuing to open.
How you doing?
So who opened the door? I mean, and like what's like the whole situation is crazy, but let's keep on going.
What's going on, man? Everything's good. Hi.
So you see right there's a hammer. But let's back up a little bit more. Okay, there's something right there in Paul Pelosi's hand. What is that? Is it water? Is it something else? It appears to be a cup. It appears to be something that is in his hand that he's not going to let go of for whatever the reason may be. Now, if you're wrestling over a hammer that this guy might go hit you with, which he does hit him with, if you're wrestling over the hammer, then why do you have something in your hand? Who opened the door? How did the door open that way? You see, there's still questions that are left unanswered here.
What's going on, man? Everything's good.
And Paul, if he called the police, it's like, okay, now's the time to say, hey, this guy's, trying to hurt me or whatever the case may be. Why is he not saying anything? Maybe he could be in shock, or he doesn't really know what to do in the situation. I don't know. But like I said from the beginning, if the police come to your door after you call them, the first instinct you should have is to run into the police's arms. The cavalry's here. You got at least 2 guys right there, and I'm guy number 3. So I have the ability to now go ahead and exit, right?
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
What is going on?
So there's clearly a cup right there in his hand. I don't know what's in the cup.
I'm not getting an answer.
Now, this is where he hits Pelosi. Now, you're not going to really see the hit right here, but for YouTube's sake, I'm going to go ahead and just swing past that a little bit. If you want to see the full uncensored clip, I'll link to that, of course, in the box.
Edward 14, Edward, send back up, code 3.
Code 3 back up at 26.
Give me your f***ing hand!
Units code 3.
Give me your f***ing hand!
40 Broadway for 14 hours.
Now, I don't know what that is, that noise. I mean, that could be maybe Paul Pelosi got knocked unconscious and he's snoring, or that could be an animal they have in there. I don't know, or that could be David DePape unconscious. I don't really know what that noise is, but I do hear the noise.
Edward 14, Edward, send medics code 3 as well. You got it?
Sorry, 14 number 2, save medic code 3.
Affirmative.
So that's the video that we have. Very strange. A lot of questions. Can we go back a little bit? We need to go back a little bit to when this happened, which was back in October of last year, 2022. Remember Miguel Almaguer from NBC, the Emmy Award-winning journalist, got suspended for reporting that story, talking about, well, it was somebody else that came to the door. They reinstated him back in December, but he shouldn't have been suspended, obviously, because he had more of the information than the police did. Let's go back to this clip right quick and see, now that we know a little bit more about the situation, now we have video. Let's go back to what he said and try to piece it together.
Craig, good morning. When officers arrived here at the Pelosi home exactly a week ago today, they initially didn't have any idea exactly what was going on. They knew they had a high priority call on their hand. What was unclear, what was happening inside the property just behind me.
This morning, Paul Pelosi is home, back at the house that became a crime scene a week ago today. NBC News learning new details about the moments police arrived. Sources familiar with what unfolded in the Pelosi residence now revealing when officers responded to the high-priority call, they were seemingly unaware they'd been called to the home of the Speaker of the House. After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi.
Now, see, let's pause right there. See, that right there obviously wasn't the case. And if you want to say that Pelosi opened the door, you have to mention that David DePape was right there. See, I think maybe that part of the whole situation might have been wrong. Maybe that's why he got suspended or whatever. But the source said that's what happened. You see what I mean? And if the source is one of the officers that was right there, it may have appeared that way if you're looking at it just without being the Monday morning quarterback. But once you review the tape, it looks like somebody else was there, a third party.
It's unclear if the 82-year-old was already injured or what his mental state was, say sources. According to court documents, when the officer asked what was going on, defendant smiled and said everything's good. But instantaneously, a struggle ensued as police clearly saw David DePape strike Paul Pelosi in the head with a hammer. After tackling the suspect, officers rushed to Mr. Pelosi, who was lying in a pool of blood.
What we do know is he brutally attacked Mr. Pelosi and attempted to kill him.
After spending several days in the ICU, Pelosi, who is recovering from a fractured skull and serious injuries to his arm and hand, is now home, where Capitol Police remain on alert.
So the story seemed pretty accurate to me. I think the only thing might have been the whole thing about Pelosi opening the door himself. But Pelosi, like that was the key thing. And I think that's what's caused so much confusion. It's like, if you're being attacked by some home invader, how are you able to come to the door? Seeing the body cam footage still has that same question unanswered, because it's like, how did you come to the door? Who opened the door? That question still remains. I think there's a little bit more to the story, but I do think this was a home invasion. Did David DePape know Paul Pelosi or Nancy Pelosi? I don't know. I have no idea. It's possible, perhaps. But the whole thing is just weird still. Even with the body cam footage, it does answer some questions about the break-in and about the hammer and whatnot. It does answer that. But there's still some more questions that remain unanswered. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about these videos that have been released to the public? Do you are your questions answered about this whole thing? Do you have more questions? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys pretty much know where I'm at. This is just a strange situation. It was strange from the beginning when there were so many details that came out that were incomplete, didn't make any sense. The whole story wasn't really crystal clear. They should have put the video out right away. I mean, ASAP, before you do any kind of reporting, before you say anything, put the video out so we could put two and two together. You could report on it, then show us the video, then it makes sense. But reporting on a story without the available video makes it hard to understand. And if you're really going to report on a thing, you need to illustrate it perfectly without leaving out any kind of details so we can really get a strong picture of what's happening. Still got some questions. Who opened the door? How did the door get open? Why was Paul Pelosi holding a drink in his hand? What was in the cup? Was it water? Was it something else? What was the whole deal with the hammer? The whole thing is crazy. If you got a violent home invader, why are you able to come to the door and everything's all right? Were you trying to escape? Why didn't you escape? Those questions still remain, and I like for them to be answered, quite frankly. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.